6 horrible lessons children learn from an abusive parent. Hi, my name is Cherish. I'm an FDV survivor and advocate. I read this book, Why Does He Do That So You Don't Have To? This is written by Lundy Bancroft. He is a social worker, author who has worked with thousands of abusive men over the past 30 years. And I'm just going to highlight to you some of the key points from one of the chapters in this book. While the author acknowledges that abuses can be of any gender, the issue of family and domestic violence is still highly gendered, with male perpetrators and female victims being the vast majority of cases. So he wrote the book as if the abuser was a male. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the chapter Abusive Men as Parents. What parents say and do form the greatest influence on the development of children's values and how they perceive other people as well as themselves. So here are 6 things that children of abusive men learn from them. Lesson 1. The target of abuse is at fault, not the abuser. In families where the perpetrator is the father and the abuse is the mother, sons are taught how to blame others, especially females, for his actions. And girls or daughters are taught that other people, especially males, have the right to mistreat her, and it's usually her fault if they do so. Lesson 2. Satisfaction in life comes through controlling and manipulating others. So the father's behavior communicates to his children that having power over other people is the desirable goal. The possibility of sharing, equality, cooperation, and mutual respect can lead to a fulfilling life may be beyond their conceptual reach. While sons of abusers reach adolescence, for example, they commonly begin manipulating girls into relationships that are sexually or emotionally exploitative. They may lack empathy for their victims, having been conditioned by their fathers to shut themselves off to caring about the feelings of females. Lesson number 3. Boys and men should be in control, and females should submit to that control. Unless they find strong counterexamples among their friends or relatives, sons and daughters of abusive fathers run the risk of internalizing a rigid, abuse-prone view of what men and women inherently are. Children's parents are their first and most important source of sex role definition and identification. Lesson number 4. Women are weak, incompetent, and illogical. So, the perpetrating fathers teach his children, whether intentionally or not, to perceive women in the same degrading light that he casts on their mother. Daughters of abusive fathers often have profound self-esteem problems. Look at what the abuser is teaching them about how valuable and worthy of respect females are. Sons of abusive men, in turn, tend to be disparaging of and superior to girls and women, especially when the boys become old enough to begin dating. Lesson number 5. Mommies do the hard, constant, responsible daily work of parenting, while daddies step in to make the key decisions and share the fun times. So for example, the father may say, okay, on the weekend, get ready by this time, we are going to the park, and the mom wakes up 3 hours before to get the kids ready, get the breakfast ready, pack all the stuff for the picnic, and the dads wake up 10 minutes before, say, all right, let's go to the park. So this is an example of how that looks like. They associate the mother with routine and structure, whereas they connect the father with times that are special and exciting. Despite how grumpy he often is, the father still comes out seeming like the fun parent. And you notice how entertaining he is at the party, while their mother is sullen and withdrawn. Lesson number 6. People that love you get to abuse you. This is probably one of the most harmful ones. Children who grow up exposed to an abusive man's behavior learn that abuse is the price people pay if they want to receive love. This training can make it harder for children to recognize when they are being mistreated and to stand up for themselves. To close off this section, he says, as an abuser passes on his thinking to the next generation, he, in effect, recruits his sons to the ranks of abusive men. He does not literally want his son to mistreat women. He doesn't believe he does so himself. The abuser never believes that he is an abuser. But he wants his son to think as he thinks, including adopting his same excuses and justifications. So, the outcome is the same. And to a lesser extent, he also recruits his daughters to join the ranks of abused women. Women of previous generations have often stayed with toxic, abusive men because they simply had no choice. They lacked the finances, they lacked autonomy in many other areas, and also they genuinely felt that it was best for the kids. However, I believe this is changing for the current generation of millennial parents and Gen Z parents. We will no longer stay in these relationship dynamics because it is literally continuing a generational cycle of abuse and trauma. And this is something that needs to be broken. So I believe that in this generation, we are actually leaving for the kids. If you recognize these patterns in your current relationship, please call 1-800-RESPECT if you are in Australia, and I will leave other resources in the captions below. Leaving is a very, very big decision that cannot be taken lightly. You need to prepare before you leave, when you leave, and after, because the abuse will continue after you leave. So really take care, have a safety plan before you leave. All right, stay safe out there.